pizza, ika pizza, ika nanan Quinnife.
While most of the territory was leaning towards free association, the Marianas legislature was busy adopting resolutions in favor of Commonwealth status.
The Japanese definitely wanted closer affiliation with the U.S.
It took us about 20 years. Every time a U.S. delegation came to Saipan, we requested that we wanted to be part of the United States. And all along, I guess, we were planning for a change in status.
Among the other districts, however, the reaction to the U.S. Commonwealth offer was divided.
I think a lot of the Palauans were for it. The Marshallese were. They didn't say no, but they didn't say yes either. But definitely the voice of rejection came through Chu, Pohnpei, Yap.
With a basic disagreement on political status, tension mounted in the Northern Marianas.
The road to Commonwealth was not a smooth one, by any stretch of the imagination. What's not very well known is the amount of violence that took place on Saipan. The High Commissioner's house was burned because he was going for the unified Micronesia theory, which was the official line at the time. And then later on, in 1970, the Congress of Micronesia was burned down because it had adopted officially the free association thing. That's when the Congress came to Truk for their first off-island session. And then at one time when the Trust Territory Code was burned up on Capitol Hill as a message to everybody. And then we had the infamous resolution in the legislature saying that we will separate from the Trust Territory by force of arms if necessary. What force of arms, I don't know, but the message was there.
The people of the Marianas had made their point.
So, 1972, U.S. had already signaled to the Saipan delegation that yes, if you formally ask, we would grant you Commonwealth status. But that created a hole in the negotiating strategy for the Trust Territory.
Once the Marianas had broken away, other fissures began to open. Not surprisingly, one of the central issues was money.
We also had, intentions of separating because after being there for a while, we see that it seems that we were not going anywhere. And then the 50-50 came in, whereby we demanded 50% of the money generated from the Marshall Islands.
The Marshalls, which was contributing a large share of the Congress revenue from taxes paid on Kwajalein, proposed that half of the tax revenue collected stay within the district.
One of the reasons was that even our 50% contribution was more than 5 other districts combined, and it was because of Kwajalein.
When we requested the 50% for the Marshalls, no one bore the brunt of military presence in Micronesia at that point except the Marshalls. And it seemed rather unfair for us to be contributing $12 for everyone we took, while everybody else was contributing $3 for everyone that took back out.
At the other end of the territory, Palau was showing signs of dissatisfaction. The U.S. had made known its land requirements for military purposes, including a large tract of land in Bebeldaup for military training exercises. Meanwhile, Japanese firms had shown strong interest in establishing a supertanker port in Palau. Palau had assets that could be turned to its own advantage in the future. Why then should it stay with the other districts?
I think Palauans always feel like they want to control their future, their destiny. There was always a fear that if they were part of this federation under the Constitution, they will never have a prayer. And it's really based on the fact that the Constitution allocated the congressional seats also based on the population. And Palau's population was pretty small. So, and I think there was that sense that of like you can do it. I think they had confidence that if they go on their own, they have a control of their destiny as a nation.
By early 1975, both Palau and the Marshals made requests of the U.S. for formal status negotiations. The distance of both districts from the rest of Micronesia had grown too great to be bridged.
Our Congress did try to keep the unity, but they lost out in the end.
The lines had now been drawn, and the breakup of the trust territory had begun.